Hey, what's up guys? MyHeroDeku here, coming at you with this week's video. Now you may have seen a couple of weeks ago when I talked about a seasonal series I'd be watching, and in that video I said I'd be checking out the series Deca Dence. I've had the chance to watch the first 3 episodes as they've come out, and so far I've gotta admit I'm a little questionable on some of it, but a little intrigued by other aspects of it. Let's talk about why. Now, I've got to say, I think I knew what to expect from this series after the first episode. Starts off with kind of Natsume just witnessing her father die in the middle of an expedition to kind of try to find hints and aspects of this apocalyptic future world. However, what was interesting about it is she lost her arm in the process. So even though she seems to have similar motivations to a character like Aaron, where he watched his mother die, he didn't lose his arm, so he didn't have that same disadvantage. She's turned down for this kind of warrior species that lives in the world and kind of takes them on. So because of that, and everyone needs to have a job, she's placed on the armor repair unit where she has to clean for the first few years, where we meet our other main character, Kaburagi. Now he seems kind of distant and cold in the first episode, and it kind of ends there. We see a few more things. They kind of build up the connection between these two, especially when Natsume goes to return something to him and finds out about Pipe, one of the Gaddles, the bad guys in this world. But this one seems to be kind of innocent, so we kind of see he has a caring side where if something doesn't really seem to be guilty, he's still willing to like take care of it and care for it. And I think that's what he was going for when he was discouraging Natsume from fighting. Now all that sounds nice, and all that sounds interesting after that first episode alone. It sounds like a decent series. You're kind of Seraph of the End. It's not Attack on Titan, but it's not bad either. It's an apocalyptic series. Turn your brain off and watch. But in the second episode, things really picked up because in the first few minutes alone, it's actually revealed that right at the top of the Deca Dence that they live in, it's not only a title drop, but it's also this giant like robotic mechanism that they all live inside. It's actually revealed that a bunch of robot AIs are living up there. And there are these like cyborgs that have actually taken over and inhabited the world mainly after humans mostly extincted it from like pollution and overpopulation. So it turns out that these like robotic AIs are actually piloting the warrior race that Natsume was turned down for. And they're all competing to become the top rankers because the top rankers are scrapped slower and kind of get to stick around longer and don't get replaced as quickly as these lower rankers. So as we kind of finally get to see some insight into Kaburagi, it's actually revealed that he was a top ranker along with his friend Mikey. And they were both kind of trying to defy that destiny and kind of try to resist and become stronger so they could live longer and stay as top rankers. But what's interesting is Mikey actually pushed himself to the point where he was so desperate to keep trying to live and keep climbing the ranks that he was willing to break the rules of this civilization and kind of do something that was called limit breaking. And he was actually killed for it, which I think was supposed to change Kaburagi's whole mindset, because he kind of just accepted his fate that he was told he had to do by the leaders of this organization, and was told that he'd live out the rest of his life as a human avatar, because the humans are the NPCs in this world to these AIs, and he has to search for bugs, mistakes in the system, which is when we find out that not only was his pet from earlier, Pipe, a bug, but so is Natsume, and we kind of see that aspect I was talking about from the first episode come in again, as well as kind of getting that aspect of character building where we realize Kaburagi is not only caring about Natsume and Pipe because they are different, but because they kind of remind him of his friend Mikey, like not really following the rules of this world, but still trying their best to fit in with it and somehow still follow those rules. So he kind of wants to see how if he teaches her how to fight as a top ranker, she'll live in this world as a bug, which was really, really interesting to see. I expected to be more interested by Natsume, especially after the first episode with her father dying and kind of having a bit more of a unique motivation, because she doesn't seem as driven by revenge as Aaron did, so much as driven by the future. And I still think that's true, but I didn't expect the layers to Kaburagi's character that we got after the second episode. Now, I'm not saying it's all sunshine and rainbows there, because even though the characters are well developed, it still seems like they're kind of a bit rushed so far. I mean, we're only 3 episodes in, and this is a lot of information on both sides to introduce. This is something I'd expect from like kind of at least half a series. This is stuff that was covered in like the first 12 to really the whole first season of both Attack on Titan and, as I mentioned earlier, Seraph of the End. However, I kind of think they've managed to pull it off, honestly. They've done a really good job of balancing both characters, and I think because they only really focus on these two characters instead of a larger cast, they have the time to flesh them out in that shorter time span. But what I think is particularly interesting about this series isn't even so much the characters, which is usually the main selling point of a series for me. It's probably the themes that they seem to be trying to drive home in this series. I can't say for sure, but so far, like I was saying, these AIs and cyborgs have taken over the world because humans have destroyed it. We've seen like environmental impact and environmental destruction from humanity and the after effects of it so many times before in media, not just even in anime, but in movies and television in general. And it's an interesting topic to have covered, but what I'm hoping is what they are going for it. And what I'm seeing personally is actually more of an interesting take on humanity's reliance on technology and this growing age of just innovation, to the point where the series kind of blurs the lines between those cyborg AIs and the humans themselves, because the humans are treated as NPCs to the AIs, and the humans themselves don't even realize, even the bugs like Natsume, that even Kaburagi, for example, is like not human, that he's a cyborg or an AI controlling this human body. So it's interesting to see because I think they're kind of trying to make a take on humanity's just ever increasing focus on moving technology forward as fast as possible and keeping up to date, which is where scrapping these pieces of technology when they stop being the top and best models. Now, of course, this could be wrong, and there's only 3 episodes to base this off of right now. But if I'm right, I could see this series going some really, really interesting places. The only complaints I really have about the series so far are the animation and sound design are both kind of average. There's nothing to complain about on either end. Both decent, especially for a series like Studio Nut where I've never heard of anything else they've done. So I've got nothing to complain about there. But the art is also kind of charming because it's simplistic. There aren't many lines, they aren't particularly bold, but they're really unique. I can't think of another series I've seen that really looks like it. And I think that kind of helps that they're targeting this topic that I haven't really seen covered before. There's a lot of aspects of it to where I'm just finding myself saying, I haven't seen an anime like this before. I don't know if it's going to go anywhere good because different doesn't necessarily mean good. You can have the most unique series in the world and still have it be awful, but based off these first 3 episodes, I think it has a lot of potential to go either way. Like I said, the pacing's kind of fast and they're focusing on characters a little too quickly and pushing them forward, but in a 12-episode run, I think they might be pacing it the right way to where it could become a really good short run. I'm really interested to see where it goes from now, and honestly, if you guys want to check it out, just leave your comments down below and let me know what you think. Other than that, this has been MyHeroDeku, signing off. Thanks again for listening, guys.